Hey there, everybody. Thought I would try something a little bit different with this being All-Star Week coming up. Thought I would dig out the old APBA game here and do a replay of the 1976 All-Star game, as played lineups, as played rosters. So we'll go ahead and get started here with the American League reserves. Representing the Kansas City Royals will be three players: Hal McRae, Freddie Patek, and Amos Otis. Representing the Minnesota Twins is Butch Weiniger. Representing the Oakland A's, Phil Garner. Representing the Baltimore Orioles, Mark Belanger. Representing the Milwaukee Brewers, Don Money. Representing the Boston Red Sox will be Carlton Fisk and Carl Yastrzemski. Representing the New York Yankees, Willie Randolph, Chris Chambliss, and Mickey Rivers. So those are your position player reserves for the American League. And now let's meet the reserve pitchers for the American League. Representing the New York Yankees, Catfish Hunter and Sparky Lyle. Representing the Boston Red Sox, Louis Tiant. Representing the Chicago White Sox, Goose Gossage. Representing the California Angels, Frank Tanana. Representing the Cleveland Indians, Dave LaRoche. Representing the Milwaukee Brewers, Bill Travers. And representing the Oakland A's, Raleigh Fingers. Your American League reserves. All right, let's meet the National League reserves. Representing the hometown Philadelphia Phillies, because this game was played at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, got four players. You have Larry Bowa, Bob Boone, Dave Cash, and Mike Schmidt. Representing the Houston Astros is Cesar Cedeno. Representing the St. Louis Cardinals, Bate McBride. Representing the Pittsburgh Pirates, Al Oliver. Representing the Los Angeles Dodgers, Bill Russell and Ron Cey. Representing the Chicago Cubs is Steve Swisher. And representing the Cincinnati Reds, Ken Griffey and Tony Perez. Those are your reserve position players for the National League. Reserve pitchers, representing the New York Mets, Tom Seaver. Representing the San Francisco Giants, John the Count Monofusco. Representing the Dodgers, Rick Rhoden and Andy Messersmith. Representing the representing the Philadelphia Phillies is Dick Ruthen. Representing the Montreal Expos is Woody Fryman. And representing the Houston Astros is Ken Forsch. All right, so that's your reserves. And actually, I think Ruthen was on the Braves at the time, so I'll take that back. The cards don't have the team name on them, but I think that's where he was from, because I don't think Atlanta had any other players on the All-Star team, so it kind of had to go that way. All right, now let's meet the starting lineups for each team, first with the American League. Representing the Detroit Tigers, leading off playing left field, Ron LaFleur. Batting second, playing first base, representing the Minnesota Twins, Rod Carew. Hitting third, playing third base, representing the Kansas City Royals, George Brett. Batting cleanup, representing the New York Yankees, catching, Thurman Munson. Hitting fifth in center field, representing Boston Red Sox, Fred Lynn. Hitting sixth, representing the Texas Rangers, shortstop, Toby Harrah. Batting seventh, representing the Detroit Tigers, in right field, Rusty Staub. Batting eighth, representing the Baltimore Orioles at second base, Bobby Grich. And batting ninth and pitching, representing the Detroit Tigers, Mark the Bird Fidrich. So there are your American League starters. And now we'll go to the National League, hometown National League starters. Leading off, playing third base, representing the Cincinnati Reds, Pete Rose. Batting second, playing first base, representing the Los Angeles Dodgers, Steve Garvey. Batting third, representing Cincinnati Reds, Joe Morgan, second base. Batting cleanup in center field, representing, again, the Cincinnati Reds, George Foster. Batting fifth, playing left field, representing the Philadelphia Phillies, Greg Luzinski. Batting seventh and catching, representing the Cincinnati Reds, Johnny Bench. Batting seventh and playing right field, representing the New York Mets, Dave Kingman. Batting eighth at shortstop, representing the Cincinnati Reds, Dave Concepcion. And batting ninth, the pitcher, representing the San Diego Padres, Randy Jones. So there are your starters for the National League. Be right back for the start of the ball game. Okay, we're all ready to go. You can see Randy Jones ready to do the pitching. He's a grade A pitcher with a Z quality. Doing the fielding ratings for both teams, the American League is fielding column number 2, and the National League is fielding column number 1. So Ron LaFleur steps in the box to face Randy Jones, and this 1976 All-Star Game replay is underway. Got a 42, and on LaFleur, a 42 is a 9. Well, against the A-grade pitcher with the bases empty, a 9 is a ground ball to short. So there's one away. LaFleur retired. Brings up Rod Carew. Carew, a 41. 41 is a 24, fielding column number 1. A 24 is a ground out to short. So 2 consecutive ground out to shortstop, I should say, to start the game. Brings up George Brett. .53 for Brett is a 20, and that's an error on the second baseman. So E4, even on a fielding column 1, that's an E4. So that's an error on Morgan. Unusual to have Morgan commit an error, but he just did. So now we'll move on to the runner on first base chart for Thurman Munson. It's a 51, and Munson is an 8 on a 51. Against an A-grade pitcher, though, that's a ground out first baseman to the pitcher covering. 3-1 put out, and that's going to end the top of the first with no damage done by the American League. And now Mark the Bird Fidrich will be on the bump for the American League, and he will be facing Pete Rose to lead things off. Switch hitter batting left against Fidrich. 43, and Fidrich again is a grade A pitcher with a Z as well. 43 is a 29, and fielding column 2, a 29 is a put out, or a ground out rather, pitcher to the first baseman. Wait a minute, I'm on the runner on first base, my bad. Let me get back to bases empty. 29 is, yep, pitcher to first baseman put out. 1-3 put out. If he has an X, it's a strikeout, but he doesn't, so it's just a 1-3 ground out. Is Rose grounds right back to Fidrich for out number 1. Brings up Steve Garvey. So Garvey to 52, and that's a 27. Fielding column 2, 27 is a ground out to third, so that's handled over there by George Brett. 2 down. 2 up, 2 down. Here's Morgan. See if he can atone for that error he made. And we get a 32. And a 32 is a 26. 26 is a ground out to second, and that's going to end the inning. So 3 ground outs, and nothing happening in the first for the National League Stars. So we go to the top of the second. Randy Jones back out, and here comes Fred Lynn. I'm going to do my best to try to get every player in the game so we can get some good representation. Right now, here's Fred Lynn. 51 is an 8, and against an A-grade pitcher, an 8 is a fly out to, or sorry, a pop out to third base. 1 away. Now to bring up Toby Harrah, the lone Texas Ranger representative in 1976. 31 is a 14, and that's going to be a base on balls because Jones has a Z but not a double Z. So that will be a 1-out walk. And it will bring up Rusty Staub from the Tigers, right fielder. It's a 26 for Staub, and that is a 24. So 24 in fielding column 1 with a runner at first is a double play, 6-4-3. And just like that, the American League is gone here in the top of the second. So Staub rounds into the twin killing. Nothing doing for the American League. Here come the National League. It'll be George Foster, playing a little bit out of position in center field, but that's the way the voting went. That's a 33 for Foster. That is a 5. But Fidrich is an A-grade pitcher. See if that does anything. 5. Nope, it's a double. double over the first base bag. So Foster wasn't Australian for home run, but it was Australian for double, as he gets a leadoff double. And that'll bring up the bull, Greg Luzinski. Runner at second now. Nobody out. 21 for Luzinski is a 13, and that is a strikeout. So Luzinski down on strikes, one away. And that'll bring up Johnny Bench. Bench to the plate with one out. Kingman on deck. 26 for Bench is a 13, and he strikes out as well. So 2 strikeouts in a row for Fidrich. And that'll bring up Kingman. Speaking of strikeouts, but he has a chance to get the National League on the board. 63, and 63 is a 34. Runner on second, fielding column 2, and a 34 is a pop up to second, and that's going to end the second inning. All right, so that's going to be all for Fidrich. He's going to go his 2 innings. I'm not letting any pitchers hit. We're going to pinch hit and use the bullpen. So Fidrich goes 2 shutout innings, and Catfish Hunter will take his place in the bottom of the third. He will be the new pitcher, and we'll also get a pinch hitter when his time comes. So, but first things first, Grich is going to lead it off. He's a number 8 hitter. And Jones, since he hasn't batted yet, is going to go ahead and try to pitch 3 innings. There's Jones facing Grich. It's a 15. That's a 10. And a 10 against an A-grade pitcher is still a single over center field. So it's a base hit for Grich. And now we'll get the pinch hitter. And let's see who they're going to use as a pinch hitter. It's going to be Yastrzemski. So they're going to go to Yaz as a pinch hitter for Fidrich. So Yaz will pinch hit here in the third for Fidrich. Runner at first. Nobody out. It's a 62. 62 is a 41. Fielding column 1. 41 is a double play. 4-6-3. Runner out at second is injured, unable to play the next 3 games. Did I read that right? 60. That's what 41 says. Runner out at second is injured and unable to play. So Grich is injured. So he's going to come out of the game. And 4-6-3 is away we go. Now normally I would not have used a left-handed hitter to pinch hit against Fidrich, but in the basic APBA game, lefty-righty splits are irrelevant. So there you go. So now we need a replacement for Grich, and the replacement's going to be, see how many second basemen they have. It's going to be Willie Randolph. So Willie Randolph is going to take over for Grich and bat in the 8th position because of the injury. So Randolph, and let's see if that affects their fielding column. Grich was a 9. Randolph is a 7. So he becomes a 7. And he's also fast, which Grich was as well. So let's check the thing here. 4, 9, 17. No, actually they were already fielding column 2. They're not going to be fielding column 3. They're not that bad. So it doesn't change. They stay fielding column 2. I thought they were fielding column 1 at first. My bad on that. All right, so 2 outs, bases empty for Ron LaFleur. It's a 52, and that is a 27. And fielding column 1, 27. 5-3 ground out to Rose, and that ends the inning. So 3 shutout innings by the Padres' Randy Jones, and he will be lifted as his turn is coming to bat here in the bottom of the third. And Catfish Hunter is on the mound for the American League. He is a B grade pitcher with a Y and a Z. So we might get a little more strikeouts here with that Y pitcher. And leading off will be Dave Concepcion, number 8 hitter. Then we'll get a pinch hitter for Jones. We'll see who that's going to be. Right now it's Concepcion against Hunter. 31 is a 9. Hunter is a B grade pitcher, and a 9, that's a single over the shortstop. So against the A grade pitcher, that's an out, but against a B grade pitcher, it's a base hit. All right, now pinch hitting time coming up for the National League. See who they're going to go to. They're going to go to Al Oliver, the lone Pittsburgh representative. Make sure somebody from Pittsburgh gets in the game. So Al Oliver pinch hitting for Randy Jones here in the 3rd inning. Runner at first, nobody out. Runner at first chart. It's 21, and that is a 30. Fielding column number 2, and a 30 is a fly out to left, and that's one away. So Oliver unable to get the hit. Go back to the top of the order for Pete Rose. So Pete Rose is up. Try to let the starters get 2 at bats and then do some substitutions. 53 is a 19. 19 fielding column 2 is a single to left, runner to second. Let's see here, single to left, runner to second. With 2 outs, it's out at first, but there aren't 2 outs, so it is going to be a single for Pete Rose. Make sure I'm reading the book correctly. So runners are now at first and second with 1 out, and that's going to bring up Steve Garvey as the National League has their first threat of the game. Steve Garvey. 25 is an 8 against a B-grade pitcher. That's out at first, runners advance. So it's a 5-3 ground out, but the runners do move up to second and third. So 2 outs, and now the runners are at second and third. So we go to our second and third chart. And it's a big spot here for Joe Morgan. Little Joe steps to the plate. Foster on deck. So 41 for Joe, and that's a 28. Fielding column 2. 28 is batter out at first on grounder to shortstop. So 6-3 grounder, and that's going to end the inning as Hunter pitches around the trouble. And that's going to do it for the National League. We will go to the 4th. Still no score, and now we need a new pitcher for the National League, and that new pitcher is going to be Tom Seaver. He will be on to pitch, and Seaver is a A-grade pitcher, as you might expect, and he's got the X and the Z quality, so some strikeouts and fewer walks. So we'll see if that comes to pass. And he's going to start out facing Rod Carew, be Carew, Brett, and Munson to lead off the top of the 4th. So 33 for Carew, that is a 0, so we're going to have to roll again. Carew gets a base hit, it's a 42, that's a 2. So a 2 against an A-grade pitcher is a triple. So 2 against any pitcher is a triple. So Rod Carew will greet Seaver with a leadoff triple. Put the American League in business. George Brett, the batter. They are going to play the infield in this game that's scarce of runs. They're going to play the infield in against Brett. It's a 31, and that's an 8. A-grade pitcher, and an 8 is a fly out to right field, but the runner scores, so it's a sacrifice fly to right. And Carew, with his speed, will make it in, and the American League grabs a 1-0 lead here against Tom Terrific in the 4th. So we go to Munson now, 2 out with 1 out, bases empty. 46 is a 13, so Munson is out on strikes. This little holder I have does block the lower numbers, so if we get those lower numbers, I just have to raise it. That's a strikeout for Munson, out number 2. Brings up Freddie Lynn. 32 for Lynn is a 26. Fielding column 1 is a ground ball to second. Morgan will take care of it. Inning's over, but the American League does strike for 1 run. And we go to the bottom of the 4th. Catfish back out there, and he'll be facing George Foster. So Foster, Luzinski, and bench. 66 for Foster. That's a 1. That's a long gone home run. So just that quickly, the National League has tied the ball game, and now Foster has doubled and homered. He's 2 for 2. Bucking for player of the game here. Here's Luzinski. Score tied at 1 now. 44, another set of doubles. That's a 7. B-grade pitcher, a 7 is a single for Luzinski. So Hunter's starting to get beat around a little bit. May need relief. Here is Johnny Bench. 66. That's a 1. It's a 2-run bomb for Johnny Bench. So just like that, Hunter is biting the bit here. 3 runs for the National League on the first 3 batters. So just that fast, a 1-0 lead has dissipated. And speaking of home runs, here comes Dave Kingman. The bullpen is working, and if Hunter has any more trouble, he's coming out. It's a 52, and that's a 27. Fielding column 2, 27. Ground ball to third, but an ex-pitcher does get a strikeout. So Hunter is an ex-grade pitcher, so Kingman will strike out. 1 away for Concepcion. We're going to hope to get Hunter through this inning and then maybe pinch hit for him, because his turn, he would be scheduled to bat 4th next inning. 12 for Concepcion's a 25. 25 is another strikeout because of an X. It's got the X quality, so it becomes a strikeout. So 2 outs. And that'll bring up a pinch hitter, because we're at the pitcher spot already. So Seaver's just going to go 1 inning, and we'll get a pinch hitter for the National League with 2 outs and the bases empty. Not a pleasant place to pinch hit, but they'll go with the Cardinals' Bake McBride. So Bake McBride's going to pinch hit. See what he can do against Hunter. 66. It's a 0, so we know he's going to get a hit. Just a matter of what kind. 24 is a 6. So a 6 is a double. Pinch hit double by Bake McBride. Brings up Pete Rose again, but let's see. I guess they'll let Pete Rose bat this inning. Start doing substitutions in about the 6th inning, I guess. So Pete Rose is going to get the chance to bat. 34 is a 31 with a runner at second in fielding column 2. A 31 is a fly out to center, and that's going to end the inning. But it's a rough one for the Catfish, as the National League puts up a 3 spot, and after 4 complete, it is the National League 3 and the American League 1. And we're going to get a new pitcher for the National League, since Seaver was pinch hit for. And let's see who they're going to go to for the National League. They're going to go to the Count, John Monofusco, representing the Giants. So Monofusco will be the new pitcher here in the 5th. And for Monofusco, he's a B-grade pitcher with a YZ. And he'll be facing Toby Harrah to lead things off for the American League. Again, the pitcher spot does come up 4th. So definitely cognizant of being a pinch hitter here. 41 is a 24. Fielding column 1, 24 is a ground ball to short. That's 1 away. Down goes Harrah. Brings up Rusty Staub. It's a 52, and that's a 27. And 27 is a ground ball to third. However, an X-pitcher gets a strikeout, but Monofusco's a Y, not an X. So the ground ball to third is the actual result. 2 down for Willie Randolph. Now the pitcher spot is on deck, but if we don't get there, we don't get there. Here's Randolph. 36 is a 14. That's a walk, so we will get to the pitcher spot. So Randolph walks, and now we need a pinch hitter for the American League to face Monofusco. And let's see who we're going to use as a pinch hitter. They're going to go to Hal McRae. Usually a DH, so it's a good chance to get him in the game as a pinch hitter, because you don't want to put him in the field. So Hal McRae will pinch hit. Runner at first, 2 outs against Monofusco. 46 is a 13, so he's going to strike out. So McRae fails in the pinch hitting duties. Nothing doing for the American League here in the 5th. Go to the bottom of the 5th. We need a new pitcher for the American League, as Hunter was rudely treated. And it's going to be lefty Frank Tanana from the California Angels. So Tanana, a lefty, comes in. He is a A-grade pitcher with an X and a Z. And he'll be facing Steve Garvey to lead things off. After this inning, when we get to the 6th, it'll be wholesale changes. So right now the starters still get their 3rd time at bat. Here's Garvey. 53 is a 20. 20 in a fielding column 2 is an error on the first baseman. Now 20 is like that on any error on the second baseman, rather. So 20, that's an E4 no matter what the ratings are. So Morgan, the second baseman, made an error. Now Bobby Grich makes an error. So each second baseman with a boot. And speaking of second baseman, here comes Joe Morgan. Runner at first, nobody out for little Joe. 52. 52 is a 27. 27 is batter safe at first, fielder's choice, runner out at second. But an X-grade pitcher gets a strikeout. So Tanana, having that X-grade, he gets the strikeout. One away for Foster. And he has only doubled and homered in this game. That's all. That's not much. 13 is a 14. That'll be a walk. Oh, take that back. He's a Z pitcher, so it's only 2 balls. It will not be a walk. Foster with another chance. It's a 26. 26 is a 13. He's going to strike out this time. So can't get a hit every time, Mr. Foster. That's going to be a strikeout for out number 2. And that'll bring up the bull, Greg Luzinski. Face Tanana. 31 is a 9. A-grade pitcher, a 9 is a single, beats out infield hit. How about that? Luzinski beats out an infield hit. He's 2 for 3. Garvey will go to second. So 2 outs with the runners at first and second. And Johnny Bench, the batter. So Johnny Bench with a chance to extend the lead. He homered last time. He's going to homer again. 66 has done it again. This one's a 3-run shot, all runs unearned because of the error on Grich. So 3 runs are in, and the National League has just blown this thing open. And Johnny Bench, with his 2nd home run of the game, certainly is looking like the MVP as he goes yard. And that'll bring up Kingman. So Tanana's going to go 1 inning and give up 3 runs, none of them earned. He's got a similar fate as Catfish. 62 is a 13. He does come back to strike out Kingman, but it is now a 6-1 game after 5 complete. We'll pause the video while I make these wholesale changes for both teams. Okay, I had to pause the video on that because the changes were wholesale. So I'll see if I can go through these very quickly without confusing anybody. We're back to the leadoff spot in the order of American League because McRae pinch hit in the 9th spot in the 5th and made the last out. So the starting left fielder was Ron LaFleur. He is now replaced by Amos Otis from Kansas City. He is now the left fielder. Rod Carew was hitting second at first base. He's been replaced by Chris Chambliss. So Chambliss will play first base and bat second. In place of George Brett will be Don Money, Milwaukee Brewers representative. He will bat third and play third base. Pudge, Carlton Fisk, will take over from Munson as the cleanup hitter and catcher. Hitting fifth in place of Fred Lynn in center field will be Mickey Rivers. So he will be in the 5th position. Freddie Patek will take over for Toby Harrah at short and hit in the 6th position. Unfortunately, I didn't plan my pinch hitters well enough, I guess. I used my too many extra outfielders, so I should have kept Hal McRae available, but I pinch hit for him, so Rusty Staub's going to have to stay in there and play right field. I have no other outfielders on the bench. And batting 8th in place of Bobby Grich will be Oakland A's representative Phil Garner. And coming in to pitch in the bottom half of the 6th will be Louis Tiant from Boston. All right, let's look at the National League changes. Much the same as the others. So we'll get them in the correct batting order first of all to make sure I've got everybody in place. Last out was made by by Kingman in right field. So now we're going to have Boa, or Concepcion is the leadoff hitter that would have been starting the inning. So batting 8th, and the new shortstop is Larry Boa. Batting 9th, the new pitcher from Montreal is Woody Fryman. So he's going to be the new pitcher here in the top of the 6th. Batting in the new leadoff position at third base is third baseman Mike Schmidt. He'll take over for Pete Rose. Taking over for Garvey is first baseman Tony Perez. He will bat in the number 2 spot. Taking over for Joe Morgan in the number 3 spot at second base is Dave Cash from the Phillies. Batting cleanup, I also used too many outfielders, pinch hitters for the National League, so I'm short an outfielder. So George Foster, he was in center field. He's now moving to left field. So he's going to be the left fielder and still bat cleanup. Luzinski was in left field in the 5th position. He is now being replaced by Cesar Cedeno from the Astros, and he will play center field. So he takes over in center, and Foster moves from center to left. Taking over for Johnny Bench in the 6th position is Cubs catcher Steve Swisher. So we get a Cub in there. And then batting 8th, taking over for Kingman, will be Ken Griffey in right field from the Reds. All right, so hopefully that didn't confuse everybody besides me. And we still have a couple players that are on the bench available and several pitchers, so we should be in good shape. Top of the 6th, here is leadoff man, Amos Otis. Otis, my man. And Otis, my man, gets a 66. It's a 0. So he's going to greet Woody Fryman with a 64. That's a 6, and that's going to be a double. So a leadoff double for AO, Amos Otis, with that double. And gives Woody Fryman a rude entrance into the game. Brings up Chris Chambliss, who took over for Carew. It's a 36, and that's a 33. So 33, fielding column 1. Both teams now are fielding column 1 because the American League improved their defense. 33, column 1 is a pop out to third. So that'll keep the runner right where he is. And now batting third in place of George Brett is Milwaukee's Don Money. 53 is a 20, fielding column 1, 20. Out at first, runner to second. So it's a 4-3. Oh, I'm sorry, I should be on the runner at second, not run on first. It was a 20 of the 53, which is a 20. Single through second, runner to third. How about that? So it is a base hit, and the runner goes to third base. So runners are at the corners with 1 out for Pudge Fisk as the American League tries to whittle down that 5-run lead. Fisk, 31, is a 14, and a 14 is going to be a base on balls to load the bases. So Fryman running into some serious issues. Bullpen going for the National League really quickly here. Here's Mickey Rivers, bases loaded, 1 out for Rivers. 66 for Rivers is a 0, so he'll do damage. It's a 13, which is now a 6. Bases loaded and a 6 against a B-grade pitcher. A triple. It says double column cards use number 4 result. So it's a double to left center, and runners advance 2 bases. If there were 2 outs, everybody would score, but it's going to be a double instead. So it's a 2-run double for Mickey Rivers. That will score Otis, and it will score Money, and it will send Fisk to third. So Fryman in deep trouble. Bullpen's just about ready for the National League. Here's Freddie Patek taking over for Toby Harrah with runners at second and third and 1 out. Infield playing back. 63 is a 34 with runners at second and third. 63 is a 34, 34 fielding column 1. High fly out, runners hold. It's actually a pop out to short, so it's 2 down. And it'll be up to Rusty Staub to get this one squared away. And in fact, Woody Fryman's coming out. So they're going to bring in Ken Forsch. Ken Forsch is going to come in to try to get this last out of the 6th. Relief, he specializes in relief, so he is an A-grade pitcher with a Z. So that A-grade pitcher may come in handy. 53 is a 15, so the base is loaded in a 15. It's not going to help the A-grade pitcher. Single to left, runner advances 2 bases. Slow is out at second, or out at home rather. Slow at second. Let's see here. Slow. Mickey Rivers is not slow, so wait a minute. It wasn't bases loaded. It was second and third. Make sure I got my right chart here. Second and third, and the result was a 53, which is a 15. That's even worse. First on error by the left fielder. Runners advance 1 base, batter to second on throw home. With 2 outs, both runners score. So both runners will score on the E7, and that is on Foster, who moved to left field, but it is a two-base error because the batter went to second on that E7 on the throw, but both runs will score. Both of those are charged to Woody Fryman. It is now a 6-5 game. American League right back in it. And here's Phil Garner, forced trying to get that last out. So 44 doubles aren't going to help him any. That's an 8 with a runner at second and an A-grade pitcher. See what comes of that. Oh, it is out at first. 5-3 ground out. That's going to end the inning. But it's a profitable one for the American League. They pick up 3 runs. Check that, 4 runs, and that makes the score 6-5. So National League ran into some trouble there. And now Louis Tiant will be on the mound for the American League. And for Tiant, he is a B-grade pitcher with a Z. And his first batter to face is going to be Larry Boa. Boa will be followed by a pinch hitter for Forsch. So it's 54 for Boa, and that's a 32. Base is empty, fielding column 1 now. 32 is a fly out to right field, 1 away. Alright, now we need a pinch hitter for Forsch. And let's see who they got left on the bench. They have Say, they have Russell, and they have Boone. You don't want to use your last catcher, so they're going to use Ron Say. So Ron Say will pinch hit for Forsch against Tiant, the Penguin. 53 is a 20. 20 is an error on the second baseman again. That 20 has come up several times. That's the 3rd time it's come up in the game. E4. So this error belongs to Garner. Puts a runner at first with 1 out. So Say is aboard, and Michael Jack Schmidt took over for Rose. He will be batting against Tiant. 26 for Schmidt is a 13. He strikes out. So 2 down. And it's up to Tony Perez, who took over for Garvey. 56 is a 12. 12 on a B-grade pitcher. Fielding column 1 is a double play. But of course, with 2 outs, it's just going to be a 4-6 fielder's choice play. And that's going to end the inning. So that does it for the National League. We played 6 complete. It is National League 6, American League 5. And now we need a new pitcher for the National League. And it's going to be Andy Messersmith from the Dodgers. So Andy Messersmith is on. And he has the B grade and a Y for his qualities. And he's going to face Amos Otis. Check that. It's a pinch hitter for the pitcher because we're at the pitcher spot. So it's going to be the pinch hitter Butch Weiniger from the Twins. So Butch Weiniger. I know we don't really like to use the last pitcher, but you know what? We're not going to use Weiniger. We're going to save him just in case something happens to the catcher. We're going to use Willie Randolph instead. Still got Weiniger and Belanger on the bench. So Willie Randolph will pinch hit. He's a better leadoff hitter anyway. He's going to pinch hit here in the start the 7th against Messersmith. 65, that's a 35. Fielding column 1, 35 is a ground out, first base unassisted. 1 away. Randolph is retired. And now we get to AO, Amos Otis. Otis, my man. 23 is a 26. 26 is a ground ball to second. 2 down. And that'll bring up Chris Chambliss. Chambliss. 36 is a 33. 33 is a pop out to second, but Messersmith has the Y, and that Y means it's a strikeout. So innings over, we go to the 7th inning stretch for the American League, and we're going to have a new pitcher for the American League, and it will be representing the Cleveland Indians, Dave LaRoche. Got to get a Cleveland Indian in there. So Dave LaRoche will be on. He's an A-grade pitcher with an X and a Y. Try to keep things in check against the National League. It'll be Cash, Foster, and Cedeno due up for the National League to face LaRoche. 41 for Cash is a 24. 24 is a ground out to short, one away. So Cash is retired. 6-3 brings up George Foster. 36 for Foster is a 33. That is a pop out to second, but a wide pitcher, it's a strikeout. So it's a strikeout for out number 2. And it brings up Cesar Cedeno. 36 is a 33, and it's yet another Y strikeout. So LaRoche comes in 1, 2, 3, puts them down in order, 2 strikeouts. We go to the 8th. We'll get a new pitcher for the National League, and that new pitcher is going to be Dick Ruthin. So Dick Ruthin is in, and for the American League, it'll be Don Money stepping to the plate here in the 8th. So Ruthin is a C-grade pitcher with a Y quality. 56 is a 30. Let's see here. No, it's 12. My bad. 12 is fielding column 1 is a ground ball to third. That's one away. So Money is retired here in the 8th. Brings up Pudge Fisk. 13 is a 14. That's a walk. So Fisk, the tying run now on base with 1 out. And that brings up Mickey Rivers. 61 for Rivers. Run on first. 61 is a 30. 30 is a fly out to left for out number 2. And that brings up Freddie Patek, shortstop. 63 is a 34. And that is a pop out to short. However, a Y pitcher gets a strikeout. Ruthin's got the Y, so it is a strikeout. And the inning is over. We go to the bottom of the 8th. And new pitcher for the American League will be the Chicago White Sox representative, Goose Gossage. So Goose Gossage is on. He is a C-grade pitcher of the Y. And he'll be facing Cub representative Steve Swisher. So we got Chicago against Chicago. It'll be Swisher, Griffey, and Boa. 52 for Swisher is a 27. And that is, with the bases empty, a 27 is a ground out 5-3. One away. Brings up Ken Griffey. Griffey, a 35, is a 9 against the C-grade pitcher. That's a pop out to third, out number 2. I'll bring up Larry Boa. And if he gets on, we'll get a pinch hitter for Ruthin. It's an 11, so he will get on. It's a 0, so we go to the second number. 66. That's a 2. So Larry Boa, a 2 against the C-grade pitcher, is a triple, a 2-out triple for Larry Boa. And now that'll bring up pinch hitter Bill Russell. So Bill Russell will pinch hit to 21. It's a 7. 21 is a 31. Runner at third, 31. Fielding column 1 is a fly out to center field. And that's going to end the inning. So we go to the 9th. Score 6-5. Be right back for the final inning. Okay, top of the 9th. Rick Rhoden from the Dodgers is on. B-grade pitcher with a Z, facing Rusty Staub. National League hit 6-5 here in the top of the 9th. 42 is a 14. That's a leadoff walk. Because a Z, you have to have a double Z to stop that. So it's a leadoff walk for Staub. And that will bring up Phil Garner. 55 is an 8. An 8 against a B-grade pitcher. And a runner at first is out at first, runner to second. So it's a 5-3 ground out that moves the runner up into scoring position. And now the pitcher spot is up, so Butch Weiniger, catcher from the Twins, is going to pinch hit. Big spot. And it's an 11. That's a 0. That's going to tie the game, most likely. That's a 22, so that is a home run for Butch Weiniger. A pinch hit 2-run homer from Butch Weiniger, and the American League has taken a 7-6 lead. They've come all the way back. And Raleigh Fingers is in the bullpen, ready to go for the American League to try to close it out. It's a 42. That's a 22 for Amos Otis, with the bases empty now. A 22. And a 22 is out at first base to pitcher. So that's 2 down for Chris Chambliss. And I'm probably running out of recording time at that speed. Trying to speed it up here. 54 is a 32. That is a fly out to right to end the inning. So the big 2-run bomb by Weininger gives the American League a 7-6 lead. Raleigh Fingers in now to try to close it down for the American League. And that'll bring up Michael Jack Schmidt. He will lead things off against Fingers. 56, that is a 12. 12 is out at first. 5-3 ground out. Ground to third, 1 away. That'll bring up Tony Perez. 2 outs away from ending it. 35 is a 14. That's a walk. He has a Z quality, but that's not going to cut it. So a walk puts the tying run at first base for Dave Cash. That's a 56, and that's a 12. And that's going to be a double play. A double play, 4-6-3. The ball game is over. And the American League improbably comes back from a 6-1 deficit to win it 7-6. Hope you enjoyed that presentation of APBA Baseball, the 1970s.